When we say that Texas politics is a dumpster fire, we don't usually mean literally. But here's this. This is a dumpster that is literally on fire outside of Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton's office. So this is a bit of an update video from yesterday's video, so if you missed that one, you might want to go back and check that one out. But the TLDR of it is that the Texas legislature recently made some headlines for a couple of reasons. For one, the House Speaker, Dave Phelan, appeared to be either intoxicated or maybe suffering from a debilitating health crisis while wielding the gavel and conducting a legislative session.
Mr. Campbell sent an amendment. The amendment is acceptable to the author. Is there objection to the opposite amendment? The chair has none. Amendment is adopted.
This prompted the Texas Attorney General, Ken Paxton, to call for Phelan to step down. Now, we'll get to the second reason in a bit, but this thing between Phelan and Paxton was interesting because while they are both Republicans, they don't always see eye to eye on things. It's rare to see Republicans turn on one another because they almost always present a really united front. But it was also strange that Paxton said anything at all, especially on grounds of decorum. Like, why would he care? Well, it turns out he cared because he wanted Phelan, who again is the Texas House Speaker, gone. The Texas House has been quietly investigating Paxton for months on a number of charges.
General Paxton refers to these individuals as political appointees, and I suppose that's true, but they're his political appointees. Based on interviews and a look at their resumes, each of these four men is a conservative Republican civil servant. Interviews showed that they wanted to be loyal to General Paxton, and they tried to advise him well, often, and strongly. And when that failed, each was fired after reporting General Paxton to law enforcement.
We just found out about the investigation a couple of days ago, and as of this morning, well, there have been some developments. And keep in mind, the Texas House is run by Republicans, so this isn't some kind of Democratic witch hunt or anything like that. The committee has accused Paxton of committing multiple crimes during his time in office. It presented its findings over the course of over 3 hours Wednesday night, alleging that Paxton attempted to hide an affair, misused his public office to help a donor, a real estate developer. He built a culture of fear and retaliation in his office, and he operated, quote, grossly outside of normal protocols. Next steps are unclear, but it's expected that the committee will recommend an impeachment of Paxton. If that were to happen, it would likely happen within the next few days, since the legislative session comes to an end this Monday. An impeachment in the House would suspend Paxton from the office pending a trial in the Senate, during which time the governor can appoint an interim AG. Now, I have little faith in whoever Greg Abbott might appoint, but Paxton is terrible and really shouldn't be holding a public office. He's one of, if not the most legally embattled attorney generals in the country, and probably should have been removed from office a long time ago. Of course, he keeps getting reelected somehow, despite the fact that he was indicted on charges of securities fraud in 2015, a case that has been dragging on for way longer than is normal. And he's been under investigation for corruption for years, an investigation that the FBI took over from Texas prosecutors just a few months ago. The FBI took it over days after Paxton agreed to pay $3.3 million in taxpayer dollars to 4 out of 8 former staffers who reported him to the FBI. Anyway, now there's a dumpster fire outside of Paxton's office, which is not suspicious at all. But apart from his legal troubles, Paxton just isn't a great guy. He sued the Obama administration over the Affordable Care Act. He gave a speech at the Capitol on January 6th. He sued Harris County for distributing mail-in ballot applications to voters during the mid-pandemic 2020 election. And that leads to our second update from yesterday. The Texas legislature just passed 2 bills that would negatively impact Harris County specifically. Only Harris County, which is Houston, by the way, it's my county, it's where I vote. The bills would give the state government the ability to overreach into our local elections, and they're seen by many as retaliatory actions against the county for attempting to make it easier and safer for people to vote during the pandemic. Harris County is a blue county and it's the largest county in the state. On top of that, Houston is one of, if not the most diverse city in the entire country, depending on how you measure it. We also have younger and more ethnically diverse local officials, so all in all, it makes sense that the state Republicans would want it to be as difficult as possible for Houstonians to vote. And speaking of our local officials, the Harris County Attorney Christian Menefee is now suing the state in response. Menefee, like the rest of us, knew these bills were coming down the pipeline, so once they were finally realized, he was able to respond quickly. In a piece Menefee wrote for the Houston Chronicle, he said, quote, "These bills chip away at our democracy. It's easy to bury our heads in the sand and act like we do not see what is plain. But I do not believe Harris County residents elected me as the county's lawyer to go down without a fight. With Republicans running every state-level branch of government in Texas, the odds are stacked against us. But to protect our diverse communities and public officials, we must use every tool in the toolbox." Now, I advocated for Menefee while he was running for office, and of course I voted for him. Best ROI ever, for real. He's absolutely right. This is why we elected him. So there's a lot going on down here, and I'll admit, while I do believe that justice is obviously good and worth fighting for, I try not to revel too much in people's personal misfortunes, but I did laugh when I saw Paxton's dumpster on fire this morning. I couldn't help it. Actually, it was a little too poetic, like an unoriginal metaphor, and because of it, I had to use an unoriginal metaphor at the beginning of this video. So thanks a lot, Ken Paxton. Maybe that's my own karma for laughing. I'll take it. All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like this video and subscribe to the channel, and be sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I promise every once in a while I do post things. Thank you.